Welcome to the Go2 Roofer Podcast, where we're helping roofing companies scale from 6 to 7 figures, sharing stories, tactics, and real-world experience from roofers just like you. My name is Sam Neudeck. I've been in the roofing industry since age 12, sold over $250K in roofs before becoming a regional branch manager, got frustrated with the quality of leads, and decided to start my own marketing agency to get it done right. 10 years later, I'm on a mission to help more roofers take action by building long-term roofing businesses that make your brand a household name. So today we're talking to David Sollis from Solace Roofing, a growing roofing company that's in Southeast Florida, and we're going to talk about their approach to leadership, marketing, sales, and just get to know David a little bit.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. Just to kick it off, obviously, I've been in construction myself, really essentially my whole life, working with my father. He owned a construction company. He was a home builder. So really got to understand construction at a young age. And then, of course, throughout the years, I even got in the union when I was 16 up in Chicago because they had a summer helper program. And then right after high school, I joined the union itself. Went through the whole apprenticeship program and became a foreman, then a superintendent, oversaw many different trades and such. And roofing was that one for me that really stuck out.
Yeah.
The reason it stuck out was because of really how much more of an impact I could make on the industry as a whole, and how much more of an impact I could deliver to the customer compared to really any other trade. So that's what got me excited about roofing. And since I was excited about it, boy, there's just a long journey of then how I got to where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's really cool. I forgot that you were up in Chicago for a while. That was kind of my neck of the woods. That's cool. And you also are an investor and have other successful businesses in, was it e-commerce or like sports memorabilia?
That's right. Yeah, we have a sports memorabilia company up in Chicago. It's called Ultimate Autographs. It's a very unique concept. It's not just selling autographs, but what we're selling is a unique, thrilling live experience. We're selling memorabilia essentially live on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram. You name the program, the platform, and we're doing it live, really almost all day and part of the night, every single day.
That's amazing. So from that background, getting into roofing for yourself as a business owner, did that kind of stemmed from your background in the union and working with roofing and having a love for that, and then being successful with some other ventures? Is that when you decided to take that step into starting your own company?
Well, so the sports business itself was created back in 2014, but it was a challenge. It was a fun, and it still is a fun journey, being a part of that and what we're doing over there. The construction side to me was, I really love real estate, and this was the closest thing to it. So I really knew that I wanted to get back into it in this capacity. The roofing, as I mentioned earlier, is that one thing that really stuck out to me. So yeah, it was just kind of a unique journey of then how I got to this point here. Because what I ended up doing was I had a couple tenants that were actually roofing contractors up in Chicago with some of our industrial real estate properties. And what they ended up doing was they were just kind of showing me how they go about their systems, their processes. And they were very successful, but the level of perhaps sophistication just wasn't where I knew I could bring it. And since then, I knew we wanted to get down to Florida, my wife and I, and really to start a family. We knew we wanted to reside here. So our decision was to relocate and actually acquire a existing roofing business that had a good platform in place. Platform meaning like just really good people and systems and processes, and a good brand name behind it. So really our journey was looking for that for the first few years. We looked over 140 different roofing businesses.
Wow.
We had, over a dozen. There's probably 20 LOIs out there. Out of those 20 LOIs, we probably had, a good like 6 or 7 accepted. We hired lawyers, started to go deep, and really, essentially, the problem that we faced over and over and over Most of the reasons that those deals fell through were because the tax returns didn't match the books, which didn't match the bank accounts. A lot of these business owners just really didn't understand accounting and how that worked, and or they didn't know their true profitability. And it was a long road going through that before we decided to start our own.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of roofing businesses out there that they don't pay attention to the books as much as they should. Money gets passed around here and there and doesn't get recorded, and that's one of the reasons that you wanted to do it this way, so you could change that aspect of the industry. People can trust their local roofer more.
Yeah, and going back to it, that was exactly it, because we saw an opportunity where a lot of these roofing companies just weren't doing what they said they were going to do. It all started with the first phone call. Some of these guys weren't even answering the phone calls when when I was actually a
Yeah.
customer myself looking for a new roof. Um, I would have to call six or eight, and then maybe four or five would actually answer. You book appointment. Out of those, say five, maybe three would show up. Out of those three that show up, maybe you get an estimate from one. But there was just no professionalism. There was no follow through, follow up, and that's where I saw some of the original opportunities before it just went even further than that when we actually executed on a roofing contract.
Yeah, that's huge. Like that's the whole reason I am doing what I'm doing as well, is being a branch manager for one of those companies that eventually I found out was a fly-by-night company. Things weren't being recorded in the books. Money was being taken to the casino. The owner was never paying out, people's commissions on time, holding liens against homeowners. And it just, when I found out that that stuff was going on, it just, it hurts on a deeper level, because you know what you're doing to those customers that just have no clue, because that's just not what they've experienced their whole life. And
Yeah.
yeah, here in Missouri, even where we're located right now, the biggest complaint on Better Business Bureau is contractors just not showing up or signing and taking the money and then going on vacation. It's terrible, and so it's awesome to see people like you out there trying to make a difference and change that perspective on the whole exteriors and roofing industry.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What's what so you acquired a roofing company rather than building it up from a one man in a truck type scenario. Did you feel like that was easier in your situation, or if you could go back, would you do it a different way, or?
No, so we never ended up acquiring after all
Oh,
that.
okay.
We had one in that we failed on. And the reason I failed on that acquisition was everything aligned. This was that one company that had everything aligned. Everything was teed up there perfectly. All the books did match the P&Ls, that matched the bank accounts, that matched the tax returns. Really solid company. Where I failed on an acquisition was because it was much larger than the SBA limits allowed, and therefore, the way I structured the deal wasn't going to work. And the banks came back to me and said, this seller needs to hold a lot more paper. And after I brought that back to the seller, he says, it's just not something I'm comfortable
Just
with
not gonna
doing. I was
work.
expecting to have most of my cash at closing. So we learned a very valuable lesson there about how to really tee up a deal that's much larger than the SBA limits. So we're back out there now, kind of looking for another acquisition. But no, we started Solace Roofing from the ground up. I was that one man, and this is where we're at now.
What was that journey like, from going from that decision to just, hey, I'm just gonna do it myself, and then like there's a certain level where you go from just one person to having a solid crew that's behind you all the time, and then looking to hire on key employees. And I know you've been through that early journey. What maybe you could share some, what that looked like for you, some of the struggles along the way.
I'll start with where we're at right here, right now, today, and I'll kind of reverse engineer it and show you how I got here. But last month we produced $600,000 in work. We're here in Stuart, Florida. Our territory is basically bureau down to Boca, and What we our primary customer is usually a shingle off, metal on application. We do a lot of tile to tile as well in this territory. Right now, our team consists of a production manager that then runs a project manager in the field. Project manager has a couple crews underneath him. Then as well, we have specific crews for the different types of install as well. So we have dedicated crews that are specialists for those particular installs. In the office, we also have an office manager. She runs everything from the intake forms and what we call our goodbye kiss when we send the goodbye packet to the customer with all the documents and warranties and so on and so forth. Then we also have accounting and HR, which is our back office. I'm doing the obvious there. And then there's myself. I'm still in the business acting as not only the general manager, but temporarily as the sales coordinator and the marketing coordinator as well, which is two positions that we're actually looking for right now. So that's the team now. But yeah, in the early days, the way we started it or the way I started it was really myself, and I did hire one office admin, just call it office admin, personal assistant, and that person fielded all the calls, scheduled all the appointments, did all the inspections, basically acted as a couple different roles there while I could just focus on sales and production and project management myself. So that's kind of how we started, and then from there it just kind of progressed and we just filled the right seats as we needed them as we grew.
I kind of see the power of delegating early on there and having someone running the stuff that keeps you from being out there, being able to present the brand and grow the business. I think a lot of the consults that I've had with roofers recently, they're a one-man show, and they fail to see the benefit in delegating some of those tasks so that they can do more, and it ends up hurting
Absolutely.
in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing to delegate to, which is one thing I failed to mention, is we also have two sales guys as well, and that was probably the hardest thing I think to let go, right? Just not being the face to the actual prospects when you're meeting them in person, right?
Yeah.
So just trusting others to do a better job than yourself, and once you could understand that concept that you may not be the best salesperson, you may not be the best production person. So why don't you figure out how you can delegate that to someone even more capable than yourself?
Yeah.
And that's what contributes to success.
That's huge. What about company culture? As you're growing this team, you went from just one assistant to now having these multiple branches taking care of things for you. How do you build company culture? At least, what's your approach? And then what does that look like within your business? How do you ensure that culture gets spread?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for me, company culture is extremely important. So whenever we hire individuals, we look for basically three things. One is core values. They have to fit our core values. Two, what we call GWC, get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. And that's for their particular position. They need to be able to do that. And three, humble, hungry, and smart. So if they fit those particular boxes, and that's a lot of boxes,
Yeah.
but we need to make sure that they do that. We could really have a 80% success rate to ensure that they are going to be a good asset to the company and the company culture. We foster the company culture by just celebrating the wins as we go through this. We probably pay more attention on the issues / opportunities that really are existing than anything else. Because our mindset here is either we're growing or we're dying. We try to get 1% better every single day. So what is it that we can focus on today that will alleviate any kind of future issues later to basically make our lives even better later? So that's what we foster here.
Yeah, I like that encouraging that, just that mindset of looking for opportunities for growth and for fixing issues within the company, because it comes down to systems. We think of I think often we, as business owners, we like to look at the money and the cash flow and that side of things, and we forget that, hey, there's a whole system behind that makes that profitable. And like you were saying earlier, with all the missing money, looking through all those different roofing companies, it's those systems that actually matter at the end of the day. We foster that same culture here. It's like, what in your daily process is slowing you down or slowing us down or hurting the customer, and how do we implement a fix for that? I think that's really good advice. When it comes to marketing, we'll kind of venture into my realm for a little bit. I know we've gone back and forth. We've done some work for you in the past. And what has your journey in marketing looked like? I mean, early on, it was probably a lot of networking and door knocking, like most roofers starting out. But what has been the key to your marketing as you scale?
I think it's just getting really laser focused. What I mean by that is just keeping everything clean and consistent, from the branding to the messaging. You can't have way too many pieces going on at once, otherwise you just start throwing money all over the place and you're not really understanding what's working, what's not working. What I have been doing and what has been working for me, it's basically kind of starting off with one or two or three kind of things at a time and really understanding it, mastering it, but then tracking all that data. And of course, split testing. And once you start realizing what's working, you could start dialing it up a little bit more in those particular buckets. Once you think you have figured that out and you optimize that, then I believe you can then start bolting on a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and so on and so forth. You just have to do it slow, cautious, but really track and know your numbers on everything.
Yeah. Going back to the analytics is huge, and learning to read those analytics as a business owner is something that is tedious and painful. But at the end of the day, that's what informs you when it comes back to your systems. So, that's huge. One of the questions I had along those lines was, or I guess one of the insights that I kind of picked up on was, it seems like experimentation is important in figuring out what works for your business. I feel like a lot of roofers hold back that early seed money and spend it on trucks and better wraps or t-shirts or things like that, when they could be using that to test different channels and find a multi-channel strategy that actually works.
Well, I love to comment on that too. Is I think if someone's gonna be in this business as an entrepreneur, I'm speaking to, is like you can't be in it for the money. I should say you can't be only in it for the money, because it's a long road to become healthy and strong as far as financials are concerned, where you need to really enjoy what you're doing and you need to have a stronger purpose and passion behind what you're going into work for every single day. Because in roofing, unlike a lot of other businesses, like you are mainly starting off, especially, you are like the guy. You're everything. You're keeping that machine running. Like there might be one or two little wheels on that machine, or there could be 15, but there's always you that's kind of spinning this thing. So you have a lot of long days, early mornings to late nights, and you really need to care about your people and your customers to really make it successful.
That's the having that why, I guess they call it in network marketing, they call it your why. But having that reason for serving customers, I think customer centric is the number one thing that any company needs to be in order to achieve what you're talking about right there. If you're focused on the end user, the end customer, that entire experience, that's just going to inform every other decision. Let's talk about sales for a minute. I know some companies, they like to do the canvassing and just hammer neighborhoods. So if other companies like to stick exclusively to, Google LSA or something like that. And when they get those leads, that process looks very different for different companies. What advice would you give a growing company that's trying to reach that $1 million mark for their sales team? What advice would you give them as far as the approach to sales?
Well, I think it goes back to who you're hiring and what you're hiring them for, right? Going back to how I said we did that there. But I think in addition to that, it really comes down to setting up every employee for success. And I think you need to really clearly identify the roles and the responsibilities. You need to establish what their data metrics are and what they're being held accountable to. So whether it's a weekly, a monthly, or quarterly metric. And then, of course, having stretch goals there for them too, with additional compensation for going above and beyond. Of course, training is super important there as well. We do a couple of weeks of onboarding training, like ride-alongs and stuff like that with the sales guys. It's very important to have a documented SOP and/or an FAQ to kind of help better spell out, some of the more common questions. I think it also there's a lot that falls back onto management and the owner to consistently ensure that these guys are set up for success when it comes to ongoing training and development, especially related to, common situations that you're hearing or seeing in the field or objections. And you would have to ask yourself, as a visionary, what is it that I could do today, or what can I do 6 months from now to help ensure these guys are set up for success? And sometimes that could be bringing in guest speakers. Some of those times it's the Owens Corning rep that you have, it's the GAF rep, or it could be a sales trainer. Maybe it's someone that could teach them finance and how to better close at the kitchen table, things like that. And that's what we spend a lot of time on.
That's good. When I first got onboarded into roofing, it was, like I said, it was a pretty rough experience that I found out later, but was not the right way. But when I got on board, I literally got handed a one sheet like summary of my responsibilities as a salesperson and said, "No, go sell some roofs." And once a week we get a list of like those early Facebook leads where they would just scrape hundreds of leads a week, and they were just trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we had to deal with. And I drove all over the place trying to figure out how do I make money doing this. And yeah,
that's brutal.
Yeah, no training whatsoever. And I've also been trained by a $60 million roofing company, and it's the exact opposite. There's a step and a process and a video and a like you just said, a ride along, teaching you how to do it along the way, and they really set you up for success by the time you're done with your first 2 to 3 weeks. But there's a lot of hustle.
It's reinvesting back into you, right? That's the biggest thing. Are they putting their money back in their people?
And I think the biggest problem facing most contracting companies is trying to find good laborers. And I like the checklist that you talked about, having so many different hoops for them to jump through in order for them to qualify to be part of your team. You can't trust the hiring market anymore when it comes to just pulling, so and so said they're a great roofer. Okay, let's test them out. It's not quite the same as it used to be.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And it really goes even deeper than what I said as far as like what we're looking for when we hire, because it's also prior to the hiring itself, like all the interviewing. And in my opinion, people need to be thrown through a whole lot more hoops to see if they really want this particular position and to work with this particular company. And we don't go just 1 or 2 or 3 interviews deep. I mean, we go much more extensive than that to figure out if this person's the right fit before we bring them on board. Because look, like it might take a lot of time to do that, another hour here, another hour there, but that's nothing compared to having the wrong hire that could really make your company and your image look bad, and then the wrong hire. I think I read this once before, I forgot the exact ratio, but it was like every new hire you bring on board that's a bad hire, within the first few months, and you realize that, and you have to terminate them, it costs you like 50,000 plus, right? It could be 150,000 sometimes, or even more, especially in their sales, because they have the lost opportunities and the prospects that you may have given them. So it's huge.
Yeah, it makes sense. Look for that mindset and that culture alignment early, and if they don't cut it, then it's better to just cut your losses and move on.
Absolutely.
How many extra cups of coffee have you had going through interviews?
Yeah, right. That's the trick. I mean, you got to have the patience. That's the biggest thing to develop while you're going through this, and that keen eye to look for those opportunities, because there's times, and this is probably the visionary in me, that I'll be interviewing somebody and I can realize that, okay, the role and responsibilities, there's 10 responsibilities on this role. I feel like they could master 8, but they would not be good at 2. So then you have to ask yourself, what can you do there, just if there is an opportunity, because they maybe really thrive in 2 other unique areas within marketing, as an example. You would hate to really have that overlap, but there are times where that could really benefit you as well. So I look for people that can provide value in many different ways other than just one, essentially.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you a couple rapid fire questions?
Of course.
Okay. First one is favorite roofing tool or software?
Oh man, I mean, this is so widely used, everyone knows about it, but Company Cam, boy, I just love it. Like I got it open every single day, just looking at the camera roll and what's going on today out in the field, because we expect a lot, quality control, right? So we just love that. I love just seeing, making sure that everything's being done the way it should be.
Yeah, Company Cam is awesome. Best business book that you've read?
Business book, man. I don't know. How to Win Friends and Influence Others, of course. That's the biggest one out there. I love that one. I don't know. I like a lot with like Ray Dalio. I think he's great too. But boy, yeah, I've been reading about a book a week up until maybe about 6 months ago. So I gotta look back on that. It's a good question.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I love that. It's Dale Carnegie, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, it's a good one. Classic. Who's had the biggest mentorship or impact on your business mindset?
Business mindset.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, I'm in a mastermind, and I have 7 really good friends. And what we do is we took ourselves and we spun it off, and we have a Saturday morning call every Saturday morning. And the knowledge, the wisdom within these guys is just amazing, and I just get bits and pieces every weekend from these guys, and that's where I get that from.
Yeah, so good to surround yourself with people who have the same drive and vision. That's good. What about one piece of advice you give your younger self if you could go back in time?
I'll buy an existing business. Even if it takes another 2 more years.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I learned a lot though. I don't have the regrets. I really don't, because we have no debt on the company, and
that's awesome.
We're at a great size. I mean, we're at a size within 3 years or so that I was looking at businesses that have been in business for 40 or 50 years, and that's their current size, right? But yeah, it was a great learning lesson, great journey that I guess set us up for even more success for future acquisitions. So I'm happy the way we went around it.
That's awesome. Are you a cat person or are you a dog person?
Oh, dog.
Right on. TikTok,
sure.
TikTok or YouTube?
YouTube.
Door knocking or digital ads?
Digital.
Well, hey, David, it's been great talking to you. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers?
I don't think so, Sam. I think we hit a lot of good things on the head here, but yeah, I'm always available for questions, answers, help, whatever it might take.
Where can people find your company if they're interested, if they're in the Port St. Lucie, Stuart area?
SolaceRoofing.com, SOLACE, roofing.com. And my personal email is david@solaceroofing.com.
Up upon that rooftop, nail it down, another bundle from the ground. Can you hear the sound of that brap, brap, brap? that's a rapper tap tap. I'm a working hardy fool when I'm out with the crew. I'm a marketing master, not a hole in the plaster. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer, cause I know the tricks to automate the wins. Better bring a subwoofer, I'm a go-to roofer. I'ma be the best, I'ma beat the rest. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a hometown fool with a hometown crew. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. Hammer to the steel early in the morning, giving curb appeal. It's a 5-star warrant. I get it done, even on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I don't stop until it's done. I'll be working while I'm young, running Facebook ads, making TikToks on the run. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer, son. I'ma be the best, I'ma beat the rest. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a hometown fool with a hometown crew. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. Hail damage insurance, commercial repairs, residential on the roof. I'm the one who really cares. When I care, I come through. Ain't no messing around. With my marketing on point, got my whole hometown. I'm the best dang roofer. See, cause I know roofs. Got a guy named Sam who can show you the proof. Got a guy named Sam that can show you the proof.